Welcome everybody back to another battle report. Long time no see, but back into it again. Just completed Natcon 2018, the National Convention for New Zealand. Good turnout of players. Trying to make my list make some sense and work for 2.0. Big changes that I still haven't quite got my head around. But anyway, we'll get straight into it and we'll see how this unfolds. So round one, came up against a returning player. I haven't seen him on the scene for probably about 3 years. He brought Vampire Covenant. At first looked like quite a nasty matchup for me, but didn't quite optimize the list, and with me having quite a fast avoidance shooty kind of list, it turned out to be not such a bad matchup for me. So if you want to analyze his list, there it is on the screen now. I'll move on to my Sylvan Elf list and just a few thoughts about the list. So trying to really find a way to make Sylvan Elves work in a way that I enjoy playing. I don't really enjoy playing big blocks of rank and file, so I've avoided spear blocks, dryad blocks, forest rangers, thicket beasts. Really just want to have enough scoring to at least give me the opportunity to win some scenarios, but generally more want to focus on being able to be reasonably aggressive and hard hitting, but haven't really found a character setup that I'm happy with yet that fulfills that role. So we've gone with a list that hopefully will do significant damage in shooting through the double pathfinders with the 2 pathfinder chieftains. Invested in wild riders and kestrels as well to kind of be able to counter attack if people push forward to get me. So yeah, that was the basic plan. I've invested a lot of points in very fragile units with the heath riders, the pathfinders and the wild hunters, as well as the characters that'll be in the pathfinder units. So that's why we've gone double binding scroll and the crystal wall and shamanism. Pretty much gives me the ability to be invulnerable to magic and shooting as long as I play my cards right. So hopefully that's going to work out through the course of the match. So moving on to magic. Wasn't entirely sure Atomic Summon was going to be an effective spell in this game, but didn't really feel that I'd need Chilling Howl with no ranged attack damage really at all. Also, the Savage Fury, yeah, I'm not really one to be in combat with him, and maybe you'll fail a frenzy test, but so I went with the Atomic Summon, kept Swarm of Insects and Awaken the Beast in case I do need to get into combat, and Break the Spirit, which I thought would be a very important spell just to help control his blocks. So that was the magic I went with. I also have the Lightning Vambraces in my list as well. So we were playing classic battle line and hold the center. I picked sides. He gave me the first drop. We alternated for a reasonable amount of time before I think I took first turn by going all down. So from right to left, I've got the Kestrels and a Heath Rider unit out on the flank. Pretty standard way I like to deploy is they can then vanguard more centrally if need be. Gives me an opportunity to see where they're going. So you'll see this kind of mirrored on the opposite side shortly. We've got an Eagle back there, we've got the 2 Dryad units just hanging back. They're going to move towards the centre during the game. The Druid just hiding behind the Wild Riders out of line of sight to start with, as I don't have a unit for him to deploy in unless my Pathfinders don't scout. And then moving across to the right hand side, you can see there's the mirror basically with the other units set up in much the same way. So a very soft centre, but I do have the opportunity to vanguard that way, and the Wild Riders turn 1 can move to cover the centre as well. Then looking at him, so he's got dogs, then ghouls, Barrowguard with his Necromancer, his Barrow Knights with the 2 vampires there in the centre. Then moving across to the right hand side, his Chaff, his Wraiths, Skeletons and Dogs. So he really gave me an opportunity to pick off the 2 dog units turn 1 with shooting, and yeah, very central with the rest of his stuff. So I'm hopefully going to be able to control his movement with my chaff, get around behind him and just pick things off. Not really sure I can take those blocks. I'll have to try and find some sneaky ways to get that to my advantage before I engage. So Vanguards, he chooses not to Vanguard, so I push the Kestrels and the Heath Riders up on the left hand side. I'm going to take out those dogs and threaten to get behind the ghouls just so they have to sit back, just slow them down so I can keep shooting them. And then on the right hand side, basically exactly the same plan. So that was deployment, and we move on to my turn 1. So on turn 1, I move the Heath Riders right up on the left hand side out of line of sight of the ghouls, short range to shoot the dogs off. Kestrels and Wild Riders there ready to countercharge if he pushes up too aggressively in the centre. And then moving across to the other side, basically the same plan. The Heath Riders move right up to shoot the dogs, Kestrels and Wild Riders again, getting ready to counter anything that pushes into the centre. So pretty much getting that nice sandwich press type move going on where I've moved forward on each flank. The double Pathfinder units are in the middle there to start shooting off some Baronites. Won't kill enough at long range, but it will more force him to waste his magic dice raising the knights back again rather than attempting to do anything else. So hopefully that's going to help control some of his game plan. Magic, we got Flux card 7. So we start off with a Totemic Summon, which he chooses to let go, which I was a little bit surprised about. So it appears just in behind there, so we can hopefully kill off those bats. Get rid of that chaff. That is one of my concerns, that he will chaff up my Wild Riders, frenzy test them and have them end up in a place that I don't want them to be. So very keen to get rid of all his chaff as quick as possible. We go on to shooting, as I think that was the only spell I managed to get off. And the Totemic Summon does its breath weapon on the bats, and you can see it rolls well above average and the bats are destroyed. So pretty good start for me there. Then the Heath Riders shoot the dogs off on the left hand side. The Heath Riders on the right though don't shoot quite so well, only picking off 3, so there's a couple of dogs left there. In the centre, my 2 Pathfinder units pick on the knights and we kill 6 of them, which is not too bad at long range, enough that that's going to force them to spend some magic dice bringing them back to life. And it's also raised his eyebrows about how dangerous it will be for him to advance into short range of those 2 units. So we move on to his turn 1. I'm not really sure why, but his 2 remaining dogs charged my Heath Riders. So on the stand and shoot, well, we shot them off. So pretty much just gave that unit away, unfortunately, as I think they could have proved quite useful for him. And then a movement, he swings the ghouls around to face the Totemic Summon and the Heath Riders. And he doesn't really move much else at all. The bats just come up in front of the Baronites to shield them from Pathfinder shooting them. And really, otherwise he just twists and turns and doesn't really do a lot. Magic, he draws Flux card 4. And he just spends all his dice bringing all his Baronites back to life. So we don't lose anything really in that turn, didn't gain an awful lot, but removing 3 chaff units is not a bad start. So we move on to Sylvan Elves turn 2. So turn 2 we just basically reposition, keep shooting and try and dictate where he can move. So the Totemic Summon was quite helpful and just moved far enough back to stop the ghouls being able to march forward. Can give a charge there, but they won't really move very far towards me. Heath Riders on that left hand side won't have a great target to shoot at. You can see the Dryads in the centre, they've marched into the water just to get within 6 inches of the objective in the middle there, with the other ones there ready to be able to march there next turn. So I'll have 2 scoring units there and the other units there just guarding the centre in case he pushes forward. Right hand side, basically the same plan. Pathfinders are just in range to keep shooting the bats and the knights in the centre, and everything ready to hit him on the flanks if he pushes forward. So in Magic we drew Flux card 4, and remember I tried to do another Totemic Summon, but this one was going to go in behind the Wraiths, and I failed to cast, which pretty much meant that we didn't get anything off that turn, and we moved on to shooting. The Heath Riders on the right hand side shot at the Wraiths and killed off one of them, always a little bit of a bonus, and then on the left hand side, Heath Riders there shot at the Ghouls, I think it was, killed one, and the Pathfinders shot at the Bats and the Knights, and picked off the Bats and a couple more Knights ready for him to bring them all back to life on his turn. So on Vampire Covenant turn 2, again he doesn't really do an awful lot. The Ghouls don't charge the Totemic Summon, which was rather surprising. I thought he'd want to get that out of the way. The Barrow Guard just shuffle forward, the Barrow Knights just shuffle forward, unit of Wraiths moves in front to shield them, the other ones hide behind the Impassable, and that's pretty much all he does. He's just sitting there and letting me shoot at him, which yeah, I think is going to cause him some trouble fairly shortly. Moving on to Magic, he gets Flux card 8, so strong Magic phase for him. He brings all his Knights back to life, brings his Ghouls back to life and his Wraith back to life, I believe. So lots of raises again, and that is all he's able to achieve on his turn. So we move on to Sylvan Elves turn 3. So turn 3, the Totemic Summon moves across in front of the Barrow Guard now, just to continue to slow them down. The Heath Riders on the left hand side just move so they can shoot at the Wraiths. Other Dryad unit moves forward, so we've got 2 units within 6 now. Wild Riders and Kestrels continue just to threaten him if he pushes forward into the centre. Over on the right hand side, similar kind of thing really. The Heath Riders move up to the wall so they can shoot the skeletons at short range, maybe see if he'll charge me. Wild Riders and Kestrels sitting there ready in case he does. Pathfinder units move into position to be able to shoot the Wraiths and the Barrow Knights again, with the Druid there also in range with magic missiles, hoping we can get rid of the Wraiths in the magic phase so we can focus all our shooting on the Knights again. Moving on to Magic, we get Flux card 1, so not entirely ideal there, but we roll really well in Magic. In shooting, we destroy the Wraith unit. We also pick off, I think, a couple of skeletons on the right hand side, and I think that was about it. Maybe shot off a Ghoul with the other Heath Riders perhaps. So didn't achieve a lot, but getting rid of that unit of Wraiths is a nice bonus there. So moving on to the Vampire Covenant's turn 3. Again, he continues to really sit back and keep feeding me the secondary objective and just let me keep shooting him. I guess he's trying to conserve points at this stage. The skeletons pretty much stay where they are. The Wraiths move across in front of the Barrow Knights again to shield them, and that's pretty much all he does. The Magic phase, he gets Flux card 6. We can see here on the next picture he did charge the Totemic Summon with the Barrow Guard. So he, I think from memory, went for the Breath Weapon, killing off some Ghouls. I stopped the Breath Weapon and then he raised his Ghouls back, I believe is all he achieved in his Magic phase. The Barrow Guard beat the Totemic Summon, but only inflicted 2 wounds on him. He runs away and he elects not to pursue, so that Totemic Summon will hopefully rally and continue to be free chaff again on the next turn. So we move on to Sylvan Elves turn 4. Really no reason reason for me to push at this stage, so we continue just to hold back, hold the center to win the scenario, and keep shooting off whatever units we can. In the magic phase we get flux card 6. We, I think from memory, don't achieve an awful lot in this magic phase. Oh no, sorry, we actually do. We have a very successful magic phase. This is the one where we rolled very high with Swarm of Insects and killed off the entire Wraith unit in front of the Knights. And we also managed to get the Totemic Summon off in behind the skeleton block on the right hand side. I think I went Totemic Summon first, and I rolled particularly high and he wasted all his dice trying to stop it, and then I got the Swarm of Insects off after that. And then in shooting, I think I just picked off a few wounds here and there. I can't actually tell from the photos I've taken, and I can't remember. It might be possible that the Wraiths also got shot at. So we move on to Vampire Covenant's turn. He still continues to hold back with the skeleton unit. The Knights though do push forward right up into the center of the board. He gets Flux card 1. He then goes for a magical move on his Barrow Knights to move them over my Dryad unit, and he miscasts and he blows his Vampire General up, which really just handed me the game. It was already going well, and that just really swung it entirely towards me. So he lost his general, he starts to crumble, but also I'm not entirely sure it was a good move to move in behind me, as now I've got the option to charge into him on each flank as well. So we probably do that with the Wild Riders on the left hand side and the Dryads on the right hand side. We sandwich them. Characters stuck in the middle at the moment, hoping I can force him to crumble and for the whole unit and the character to die. In the remaining moves on that turn, you can see I've moved forward with most of my army now to threaten the skeletons, with the Totemic Summon moving in to the back of the skeleton block. Dryads have pushed up right in front of the Barrow Guard to stop them being able to come and be a nuisance for me, but also to make sure that they stay outside of the scenario 6 inches, so that I can guarantee that I win the scenario. And then moving on from there, through magic and shooting, we kill off a bunch of Barrow Guard. In combat, the Wild Riders and the Dryads totally pop that unit. I have a feeling the Wild Riders killed all but one of the Barrow Knights, something like that. There was pretty significant damage that they did. And then we move on to his turn. He charges into the Dryads, charges into the Totemic Summon. In his magic phase, I use my Binding Scroll on his Necromancer, and pretty much he's not able to get any magic off either. The Dryads do significantly better in that fight than I expected. Almost finish off the Barrow Guard unit. The Ghouls do kill off the Totemic Summon, as you would expect. The Totemic Summon on the other side is doing a fantastic job on the skeletons. Rear charge between 4 attacks and a stomp. We make him crumble, and in his turn that gets even worse. So we go on to my turn 5. Dryad unit charges into the flank of the Barrow Guard. The Wild Riders and the Eagle charge into the skeleton unit, and we win both those fights. And at that point, turn 6, he's not able to do anything else, and that brings us to the end of the game. So all in all, ends up with me not losing any models or any units at all. I just lost a couple of Dryads from my units, and a couple of Wild Riders, I believe, and lost all except for his goal block, so it ends up a big 20-0 victory for me. Yeah, very unexpected. I had thought this would be a reasonably tough matchup for me. I thought it would be quite standoffish, that he would hold back and try and conserve points. But yeah, a lot of things went my way. Sorry. And yeah, good start to the tournament for me with a big win, so pretty happy with that. Next round I come up against New Zealand's ETC captain. He was the co-captain up until a couple of weeks ago where I had to pull out of the team. So he's now the Lone Ranger in charge, but preparing a solid New Zealand team for Croatia. So yeah, look forward to bringing you that game against James and his Dark Elves. So I hope you've enjoyed. Share, like, subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.